This orange kitten, named Muffin, spent more than 2 hours in surgery today to remove this microchip that was lodged in its spine. And by all indications, Muffin appears to be doing well. Lauren Slama adopted the kitten 2 weeks ago from the LA County Animal Shelter in Downey. She says that after workers at the shelter implanted the microchip, Muffin became paralyzed on its left side.
He's still in recovery. We got to wait at least 24 hours for him to be totally out of the woods.
So this is actually a pretty risky surgery.
It occurs to me I've got them in my dogs. Why wouldn't I have them in small children too?
The microchipping of dogs and cats is a controversial subject only because the practice has been so universally accepted without question, especially among the animal welfarist community and those directly involved in shelters, adoption agencies, and the vet offices performing this procedure at about $25 to $50 a pop. It's become an extremely lucrative business. The claim is that microchips save lives, and that's what people believe to be true, and then they repeat this to others. But do microchips actually save lives? What could possibly go wrong with this technology? And why are they now being forced on dogs and cats in states where they're not even mandatory? Let's have a look at the advertising. First, there's the obvious element of guilt by those who profit financially from promoting them. Don't lose me. Now you'll notice the dog has a collar on. And then there's the blatant denial of potential injury by the microchip manufacturer. Microchips don't even hurt your pet, they claim, and they've even bought use of the world-famous Charlie Brown Peanuts character to make it all appear 100% safe, familiar, and trustworthy. You don't want them to lose Snoopy, do you? People will do almost anything for those they love. There's a huge lucrative market for pet products, and they will do almost anything to keep them safe. In fact, it's what those who are marketing safety count on. They also count on people not questioning what they're being told of the benefits, or even asking about the risks. So what happens when you implant a microchip? After a microchip is surgically implanted, the body immediately recognizes it as a foreign object. The immune system responds, sending white blood cells to the site of the implant in an attempt to attack it. The cells then begin autodigesting, which is the dissolution of tissue by its own secretions. Basically, the cells start eating away at themselves. Gradually, the chip begins to migrate away from the site where it was implanted, ending up just about anywhere in the body, buried, unreachable, and unreadable, and still emitting non-stop radio frequencies.
To think something so small can connect you to everything that matters.
Because I'm in love with my kids' kids.
Because my car lost control while driving.
Because now I'm looking out for both of us.
Because I have diabetes, but it doesn't have me.
Because I spend my life in the ER trying to save yours.
Because this pet was killed on purpose, but by accident.
I've been crying every single day.
Mourning the loss of a beloved family friend.
He was so close to me.
Cassandra O'Rourke's pit bull, Cole, was euthanized by Lee County Animal Services a couple of weeks ago.
He was registered in my name. I had him microchipped.
While Cole was microchipped, it was not registered to O'Rourke's name. And that's where the story takes a strange twist. Lighthouse Pet Clinic, the business O'Rourke paid to have her pit bull microchipped, admitted to me by phone that they messed up.
Hello, this is Dr. Karen Becker, and today we're going to discuss microchips. Krosno is a kitty that lives with me, and he has not been microchipped. A microchip is a teeny tiny glass vial. It's about the size of a grain of rice, and it contains a radio transmitter, an antenna, and a computer chip with a 10-digit code on the chip. Microchips are not a GPS system, which means you will not be able to radio track your pet if it has a microchip. You won't be able to look on a computer and identify where your pet has gone. The information contained in the microchip has to be picked up by a scanner, which means if a microchip is implanted in your cat or dog, there has to be a scanner used to be able to identify that 10-digit code. Absolutely, if you were to go to the microchipping sites, they're going to tell you it's basically painless. I brought one along to show you, and I will tell you that at my practice, we would never consider microchipping without some local anesthetic. It's a 12-gauge needle. It's a really big scary looking needle. And the truth is, I wouldn't put this in anything I love without anesthetic, and I would recommend if you're going to have a microchip done that you demand to have an anesthetic because it's painful. It's a big needle. The microchip can begin to migrate. It can move. Oftentimes, the chip, most of the time actually, the chip remains planted between the shoulder blades, but on occasion the chip can migrate down under the shoulder blade. It can migrate up to the back of the neck. We found chips all the way down on the bottom side of the belly. Needless to say, the big controversy surrounding microchips are, number one, are they necessary, and number two, are they safe? Well, what I will tell you is life is all about risk versus benefit. And the truth is, there are some animals that I do not believe. I think that their risk is greater than the benefit. Each microchip has a registration system. And the biggest frustration, and this has happened at my practice several times, we're able to scan, we get a 10-digit code, we call the appropriate facility, and frustratingly, the number has been changed, person no longer lives there, and the information was not forwarded or updated, and so even though we have a pet that's been microchipped, they've been microchipped in vain. I would recommend that you not microchip your pet, because in that situation there's all the risks and none of the benefit. What's really important in terms of risk is to recognize that anytime you put a foreign body or a foreign material in your pet, whether that's a glass bead in the form of a microchip, whether that's a synthetic tendon or ligament in a knee repair, whether that's a plate, a metal plate, or a steel rod for a fracture repair, there's the potential for the body to reject that particular foreign material, and a microchip is no different. Is that sarcoma or fibrosarcoma, two types of soft tissue tumors, occurred at the site of injection. With this, I think that there have been many, many more that have not been honestly documented.
What people are not being told is that microchips are causing cancer in dogs and cats. This fact is being downplayed and flat out denied, which isn't hard to do because all adverse effects of microchips in dogs and cats have to be self-reported by the vet who performed the procedure. There is no national or international database or legislative overseeing. According to the FDA itself, potential health risks associated with implantable microchips include adverse tissue reaction. Based on data from the Small Animal Veterinary Association of Britain, this can include swelling, infection, abscesses, and tumors. That's right, cancer tumors. So even though the FDA was fully aware that microchips can, have, and will cause cancer, they basically fast-tracked them as safe enough to be used on both animals and humans. There have been warnings by prominent oncologists, and these doctors usually find in favor of pharma. Dr. George Dimitri noted that research underscored certainly real risks in RFID implants, adding that these are the types of tumors that can be incredibly aggressive and can kill people in 3 to 6 months. Dr. Robert Benezra was quoted in an article about microchip as saying, "There's no way in the world, having read the information in this study, that I would have one of these chips implanted in my skin or in one of my family members." According to the latest statistics, 1 in 4 dogs and 1 in 5 cats will develop cancer in their lifetimes. That's 1 in 4 dogs and 1 in 5 cats. What is going on here? Each brand of microchip requires a different type of scanner to be read. Currently, there are 4 main brands of microchips used in the United States. If your pet winds up in an animal shelter without a compatible scanner, the chip cannot be read. The microchips must be read at a very close distance of 3 to 12 inches or else they will not be detected. The microchip is also usually implanted between the shoulder blades, but they can migrate under the shoulder blade up to the back of the neck or even all the way down to the stomach. If your pet's chip is migrated, there's a good chance the scanner will not pick up the signal. If a chip is not detected, some shelters are now putting these animals deemed to be unchipped to death first and fastest, regardless of whether the animal has been microchipped or not. Microchips are not GPS tracking devices. They cannot locate a missing animal. They will not tell you the animal's whereabouts. However, you can immediately locate any missing animal wearing a GPS tracking collar. These are removable, but nearly impossible for an animal to accidentally pull off, and they don't need to be surgically implanted. So why would you need an invasive, cancer-causing microchip that may not even be readable? Just how are the microchips saving lives? Now that millions have been microchipped, why aren't the shelters emptying out? Why are the cats and dogs still being put to death en masse? The real reason the shelters are just as full as ever isn't that enough animals aren't being microchipped, but that breeding is still legal and lucrative. People still buy purebreds instead of adopting. Too many people still don't bother to spay and neuter, and many that end up in the shelters have been dumped off unwanted. It doesn't matter if they've been microchipped. And how does a microchip solve any of those problems? What also needs to be examined is what makes a cat or dog run away from home to begin with.
Stick my shovel in the dirt and dig, dig, dig.